You leave a piece of yourself behind everywhere you go. You don't notice it. You never think about it. But right now, sealed behind your lips, you are carrying the single most durable record of who you are that your body will ever produce. Your teeth? Not your fingerprints, not your face. Your teeth. They are harder than bone. They can survive fire, water, decades in the ground, and the slow erasure of everything soft that once made you recognizable. Long after your skin is gone, long after your features have vanished, your teeth remember your name. And more than 2 centuries ago, that fact solved a mystery on a battlefield outside Boston. It began with one man, one grave, and a single false tooth held in place by a twist of wire. But the real answer actually goes deeper. The date is June 17, 1775. The place is a low hill overlooking Boston, though history would remember it by the wrong name. People call it Bunker Hill, but most of the fighting happened on the neighboring rise, Breed's Hill. On that hill stood a 34-year-old man named Joseph Warren. You should know who he was. Warren was a physician, one of the most respected doctors in Boston. He had inoculated the city against smallpox. He had even immunized John Adams. But by 1775, he had become something far more dangerous to the British Crown. He was a leader of the resistance, the president of the Massachusetts Provincial Congress, and the man who ran a spy network inside occupied Boston. Warren was the one who, on the night of April 18, sent a silversmith friend riding out toward Lexington to warn that the British were coming. You know that silversmith's name. It was Paul Revere. 2 months after the midnight ride, Warren went to Breed's Hill. He had just been commissioned a major general, but he refused to command. He picked up a musket and fought in the line like an ordinary soldier. When the British made their third assault, and the colonial powder ran out, the retreat turned into a slaughter. A British soldier recognized Warren. A musket ball struck him in the face and killed him. What happened next was meant to erase him. The British stripped his body. They threw him into a shallow pit with another dead man, one hole for 2 corpses. One British officer bragged that he had stuffed the scoundrel in the ground. There was no marker, no name, no uniform, just an unrecognizable body in a mass grave, and a war that rolled on over the top of it. For 9 months, Joseph Warren simply disappeared into the earth. Then, in the spring of 1776, the British evacuated Boston, and Warren's brothers went looking for him, together with Paul Revere. They found the grave. They opened it, and they were confronted with the problem that has haunted the survivors of every war, every disaster, every crime in human history. 2 bodies, both ruined by time and decay, both beyond recognition. How do you prove that this one, and not that one, was the man you loved? The face was gone. That's where a lesser story ends, with a shrug and a guess in a grave that stays anonymous. But Paul Revere was not only a silversmith and a messenger, he was also a self-taught dentist. And a few years earlier, he had done something for his friend that would now speak from beyond the grave. Warren had lost teeth, as many people did in the 18th century. Revere had fashioned him a replacement, a false tooth carved from ivory, set to fill the gap of his upper left canine and the premolar beside it. And Revere had anchored that false tooth in place using a small twist of silver wire, wound in a way that was entirely his own. His hands had made it. His technique had secured it. So when Revere looked into that ruined mouth, he was not looking at a stranger. He was looking at his own work. He recognized the wire. He recognized the tooth he had set. And in that instant, an anonymous body in a mass pit became, once again, Major General Joseph Warren. Think about what just happened there. Every soft thing that made Warren a person had been destroyed. His face, his voice, his expression, all of it gone. And yet one hard, deliberate, man-made object, one tooth held by one wire, carried enough information to restore his entire identity. Warren was lifted out of the pit and given a proper funeral. He was buried under his own name, in his own grave, on April 8, 1776. And historians would later mark that grim little moment of recognition as the first documented forensic dental identification in America, the seed of an entire scientific field we now call forensic odontology. But here is the part that should make the back of your neck prickle. That was not a fluke. That was not luck. Revere succeeded because of something true about every human being who has ever lived, including you. Your mouth is not generic. It is a signature. Consider what your teeth actually are. The outer layer, the enamel, is the hardest substance your body makes, tougher than any bone you own. It is built to survive. And the way it forms leaves microscopic patterns, called enamel rod patterns, that differ from person to person the way fingerprints do. No two mouths wear down the same way, fill cavities in the same places, or carry the same history of chips and gaps and repairs. And deeper inside, in the soft pulp at the core of each tooth, your DNA sits shielded. When everything else about a body has burned or rotted or washed away, investigators can crack open a single tooth and pull your entire genetic code out of the center of it. One tooth, one person, named. This is why, in the centuries after Warren, the tooth kept solving the unsolvable. When fire has taken a face, dental records identify the dead. When decades have passed and only fragments remain, a tooth still testifies. Some of the most notorious figures of the 20th century were confirmed dead not by their faces but by their teeth, matched against records made while they lived. The mouth outlasts the man. Which brings the whole story back around to you. Right now, in your own jaw, you are carrying a record more permanent than anything you will ever write down. Every filling is a date. Every crown is a chapter. The particular crowd of your teeth, the gap you never fixed, the chip from that one bad bite, all of it is assembling, without your permission, into a description of you so specific that it could name you when nothing else could. You spend your life trying to be seen, understood, remembered. You worry that you'll be forgotten. But your body has already solved that problem in the most literal way imaginable. It has hidden your identity in the one place hard enough to keep it. Paul Revere didn't need Warren's face. He didn't need his name on a stone. He needed a single tooth and a twist of wire, and it was enough to pull his friend back out of anonymity and into history. So the next time you run your tongue across your teeth, without a second thought, remember what you're touching. You leave a piece of yourself behind everywhere you go, and that piece is you more truly and more lastingly than your own face will ever be.